Hello everyone, welcome to BYD classes and welcome to the next session of Indian Polity Mains 365 for UPSC 2023. So today we will discuss from elections in India. Okay, so first is here the electoral reforms, and we will understand first what is election. And when elections come from, and the words election where is mentioned. Okay, so here the word election comes from Latin word eligere, means to choose, select, or to pick. And election is the process of voting to choose an individual at regular intervals for holding public office through free will of the people in a representative democracy. And here democracy is mentioned. Democracy first mentioned by US president, not US president, but democracy definition was given by the president of United States of America, Mr. Abraham Lincoln. So he defined democracy as by the people, for the people, and to the people. Okay, so remember this definition related to election. And what is the role of elections in a democracy? Make responsible and accountable government and change of leadership, participation of political parties, and continuation of democracy, symbolic of nationalism and patriotism by bringing focus on common faith or common belief system and self-corrective system by keeping checks on ruling parties and made to consider the demands of the public and facilitate social and political integration by linking citizens to each other and thereby confirm the viability of the polity. So remember, the role of elections in a democracy is crucial to unite people and through the voting rights of the citizens and established the more mature rights of the citizen of the country. Okay, so remember this. And what are the issues associated with election process in India, such as financing of elections, that like in India during election times there is huge expenditure to conducting elections, and muscle power elect the political parties or politicians have muscle power. They misuse their power during elections time, and misuse of government machinery and criminalization of politics and politicization of crime, because they have more power as well as money power, so they misuse their power and money during elections and after elections, and dummy candidates in political parties, and casteism, communalism, and influence of social media. So remember these issues. And reforms for the betterment of electoral process, promoting transparency through the accountability and electoral bonds and mandatory declaration of income sources, and increasing voter participation. More increasing participation of voter, more strengthen the maturity in the democracy, and lowering of voting age voting through postal ballot and election laws amendment bill 2021 was introduced, and leveraging technology to strengthen voting process such as electronic voting machines or EVM and nota options, and preserving the sanctity of elections, enactment of anti-defection law and prosecution of politicians, and creating a level playing field such as model code of conduct, ceiling on election expenditure and restrictions on exit polls, and roadmap to achieve the vision of free and fair election. Participatory democracy, because more participation of people as well as the politician, then more maturity in the democracy, and uh, with the help of participatory democracy there will be increase the representation of youth and women in the institutional structures of electoral management bodies, and financial transparency by incorporating public scrutiny and partial state funding, and intra-party democracy, in the political parties and candidates should be selected democratically, and criminalization of politics. Here the intra-party democracy, there are uh, two types of selection of candidates in democratic countries, like in India. There are two types of electoral system, that is first past the post system and representative democracy, and representation of the people or representation with single transferable votes. So these are the two systems that are conducting in India for elections purposes, and decriminalization of politics, and adjudication of election dispute, and review anti-defection law, and conduct better and management of elections by putting restriction on opinion poll, proliferation of candidates, and introducing the totalizer machines. So remember this. And here next is the electoral funding. Why was it the news? Data from State Bank of India shows that since 2010, political parties have collected more than rupees 10,000 crore from electoral bonds. And what is electoral bonds? That here given the definition of electoral bonds, that not given, but here the electoral bond. Electoral bond simply means the bonds issued by the anonymous person. Okay, electoral bond issues by Election Commission of India, and electoral bonds donated by the anonymous person through the cash or through the online system. And electoral bond can be introduced only one bank, which has branch in Delhi, New Delhi, okay, in SBI branch. Okay, so here the issues in election funding, that is no limit on political parties. There is election funding which has no limit on political parties under section 77 of Representation of the People Act 1951, and Conduct of Election Rules 1961. There are limits on election expenditure only for candidates. Such a limit is absent in case of political party expenditure. Okay, and lack of transparency. Political parties are not required to provide sources of funds received by them. As a result, there is no information on donors of political parties, and contributions received by parties are 100% exempted from income tax. Additionally, only 0.96% of registered unrecognized parties filed their contribution report to Election Commission of India. And corporate and political parties nexus. The corporate donations of political parties have been growing significantly. Also, the anonymity provided by electoral bonds further strengthens this nexus. So, remember this. And here the data facts. The income from unknown sources 66.04% and income from known sources in financial year 2021-22. Okay, so you can remember this. And income from other known sources, the impact of electoral funding results in rise of demand for black money. Okay, and the parties preference for candidates who can finance their own elections and distorts the level playing field, and criminalization of politics. So remember here. And what is the way forward? You can wrote from you can read from your means 365 or PDF or handbook. Okay, so bringing political parties under RTI, and political parties should comply with Central Information Commission 2013 order declaring them public authorities under RTI Act 2005, and comprehensive bill regulating political parties. The dealing with party constitution, organization, internal elections, candidate selection is need of the hour, and elections should be given the power to de-recognize political parties. So here you can remember an upper limit on the amount that can be donated to parties, and following types of donations can either be banned or capped, and public or semi-public entities provide use of public funds for political purposes. Okay, and political parties should be required to maintain proper accounts in predetermined accounts heads, and such accounts should be audited by auditors recommended and empowered by the Controller and Auditor General of India. So you can remember this. And elections and technology. Why was in news? Election Commission of India hosted the second international conference on theme use of technology and elections integrity at New Delhi. And these are the significance of technology in elections and challenges in use of technology. So you can remember 2 to 3 significance and 2 to 3 challenges. Like significance such as enables transparency which deters fraudulent activities and improve accuracy of voters registered. Okay, and improve accessibility, improve efficiency, and improve voting percentage. Agencies can disseminate election related information. So remember, and what are the challenges in use of technology in elections, such as use of deep fake. So remember only keyword, and you can tackle in answer writing to spread in your thoughts. Okay, or clear thoughts which you can grab from these informations like EVM hacking just before the election, and voters manipulation such as Cambridge Analytica working with Donald Trump's 2016 campaign, and cybersecurity risks. For example, allegations of Russian interference in 2016 USA elections through hacking into computers that contained vote data, and affordable or no-cost technologies can be exploited, and lack of awareness of voters regarding profiling by social media and how that impacts the content they see on their feeds. And way forward, the data localization extend voter protection to the online space, and accountability mechanisms for big tech companies. So remember this. Okay, these facts, and you can write your own thoughts in your answer in the answer writing practices, or during the exam preparation, or during exam time. Okay, and recognize and punish cyber interference in elections, and establish dedicated cybersecurity unit in election conducting institutions. Okay, or here elections and technology. So you can read for pausing the pause the video, and 1 or 2 times you can read here, and just take overview. Electoral management bodies. Why was it news? Election Commission of India conducted an international conference on the theme. What was theme, or what is the theme? Role, framework and capacity of election management bodies. And what is electoral management body in India? So you can remember this definition. It is an organization that is legally responsible for managing elements that are essential for conduct of elections, direct democracy instruments. Okay, an election is widely regarded as a model of an independent electoral management bodies, and constitution under article 324 provides for an independent election commission to ensure free and fair elections in the country. Okay, so remember this. And RPA 1950 and 1951 to define the enlarge the powers of election commission, and power of superintendence, direction and conduct of elections to parliament, state legislatures, president and vice president is vested. These are the static portions, so you can remember this. Okay, and issues associated with the election commission of India and appointment of election commissions and chief election commissioners. And gaps. Okay, here the issues. What are the issues? Such as gaps in constitutional provisions. Okay, like prescribed qualification, like lack of prescribed qualifications, a specified term of its members not confirmed, or not debarred retiring election commissioners. And Supreme Court in Monitor Mahinder Singh Gill and another versus Chief Election Commissioner, New Delhi or others, 1977 case, you can remember here. And issues in appointment process, that appointment of the election commission are currently the central government's prerogative, that is the 3-member body which is headed by the Prime Minister and 2 other members, such as 1 minister appointed by the recommended by the Prime Minister and leader of opposition. And vagueness in removal procedure of the election commissions, and concerns regarding credibility of election commission, such as violations of model code of conduct and conduct of election commission of India in elections. And ECI possesses limited power to register a political party, but it does not possess the power to deregister it. Okay, lack of power to regulate internal structures, organizations or elections of political parties. And what are the measures to strengthen the ECI, election commissions and chief election commissioners, or central election commissioners? Okay, and such as equal constitutional protection, creating a permanent and independent secretariat, and independent functioning expenditure of election commission should be charged upon the CFI. So you can remember here. And what are the models of electoral management, such as independent model, government model and mixed model. Example, like independent model, such as in Canada, India, Indonesia. And in government model, such as in Denmark, Singapore, Switzerland. And mixed model, France, Japan and Spain. So you can remember that. Okay, internal party democracy. Why was it news? Election commission is pushing for internal democracy within political parties in India. And what is the internal party democracy? It is also known as the inter-party democracy. It refers to the level and methods of including party members in decision making and deliberation within the party structure. Okay, because of it helps to nurture citizens' political competencies and producing more capable representatives. So remember this. And the section 29 capital A of RPA 1951 mandates the registration of political parties, and ACI is also not equipped to regulate the functioning of political parties. And need for this internal party democracy in India, because ensuring equal representation to participate in politics and contest elections, and prevents nepotism and dynamic politics, and promote transparency and accountability in handling party funds, and facilitate decentralization of power and decision making, and reduce criminalization of politics. And what are the challenges for setting up internal party democracy? Inadequate power with election commission, and no legal ground on which elections can be mandated within the political parties, and strict anti-defection law, and dynastic, caste and religious parties often exhibit resistance. And what is the way forward? Constitutional status for political parties. For example, the Germany gives constitutional status to political parties. As per its law, their internal organization must conform to democratic principles, and specific provision in regulations or memorandum of party regarding organizational elections at different levels and periodicity of such elections, and terms of office bearers of the parties or party, and internal electoral or internal elections for leadership position. So you can remember here, for example, UK Conservative Party has a Central Council and Executive Committee which elects its president, a chairman and vice chairman at its annual meeting. Okay, here the process of law for political parties in India, that is extra constitutional bodies, section 29A of RPA 1951, and ECI requires that the party application should be accompanied by these process documents and information on powers and functions of its organs. So remember this. And empowering Election Commission of India to deregister parties that fail to comply with rules, and state funding of political parties could bring in equity and accountability among parties, and implement suggestions from committees such as Dinesh Goswami Committee, Tarapunde Committee and Indrajit Gupta Committee. So these are three committees you can remember definitely. Okay, and draft political parties registration and regulation of affairs Act 2011 aims. What is the aim? To regulate constitution, functioning, funding, accounts and audit and other affairs of political parties participating in elections. So remember this. And election freebie. Election freebie. Why election freebie? Because Supreme Court stressed on creating a balance between welfare of the state and economic strain on public exchequer while considering a plea seeking elections to the ACI to not permit political parties to promise freebies during election campaigns. Okay, and what is the election freebie? That electoral political parties are offering during the during conduction of the or conducting during the election period. So political parties donating more number of schemes or more number of money to the people. Okay, and what is the economic issues related to election freebies? Distorted expenditure priorities, risk of national level bankruptcy, risk of subnatural bankruptcy, damaging macroeconomic stability, markets and business deregulation, and lower manufacturing quality and competitiveness, and suboptimal infrastructure development. So remember this. Okay, and what are the issues with freebies? Negative impact. Yes, it is a crucial that issues with freebies, that it impacts negative consequences. Okay, such as economic issues, that example is Telangana has committed 35% of revenue receipts, almost 63% of states on tax to finance populist schemes which are centered around freebies and political issues, that it goes against Article 14, which include the right to equality before law and equal protection of the laws, and psychological issues. Example, in Rajasthan 56% of tax and non-tax revenues is spent on pension and salaries. And impact on environment. Example, free electricity reduces incentives for farmers and domestic households to install solar panels or adopt more efficient public transport systems. And what is the way forward related to electoral freebies? Empowering election commission is must to enforce model code of conduct by giving it legal status and power to deregister political parties if they violate model code of conduct guidelines, and differentiating between freebies with priority to directive principles of state policy based or merit goods such as public distribution system, education, health for greater prosperity, and encourage political parties to adopt ethical guidelines that discourage the distribution of freebies and focus on promoting substantive policies and development agendas. Okay, and awareness programs such as uh, voters make informed choices based on the candidates' qualifications, policies, and track records rather than being influenced by freebies. Okay, so remember this. And what is the delimitation commission? Delimitation commission appointed by the president during the set of constituencies either for the union or for the state. Okay, what is delimitation? Delimitation is act of redrawing boundaries of Lok Sabha and assembly seats to represent changes in population. And responsibility of delimitation is assigned to a high power body known as delimitation commission or a boundary commission. In India, there were four times announced delimitation commission, four times appointed delimitation announced delimitation commissions which have been constituted, such as in 1952, 1963, 73, and last in 2002. And in 2002, 84th Constitutional Amendment was used to freeze the process of delimitation for Lok Sabha and State Assembly till at least June 2026. As a result, delimitation commission could not increase the total seats in Lok Sabha. So it would be revised in 2026, you can remember. Okay, constitutional provisions under Article 82, which tells that Parliament enacts a delimitation act after every census, which establishes a delimitation commission, and under Article 170 for states. Okay, and the delimitation commission provides equal representation for equal population segments and fair division of geographical areas, and it appointed by the President of India and works in the collaboration with the Election Commission of India, and ex officio chairman remains uh, Supreme Court judge. Okay, retired or serving or retired judge of the Supreme Court, and member Election Commission of India and State Election Commissioner of concerned state, and its orders have the force of law and cannot be called in question before any court, which is barred from the judicial review. And issues arising out of the unequal representation, that is violates fundamental rights, increase law and order problems, increase burden on the representatives, and lead to divide among people and dilution of principle of one citizen, one vote. And way forward, delimitation should be carried out after every census so that changes are not too extensive and value of every elector's vote remains more or less steady, and need of consensus on how to deal with the problems that are likely to raise. So remember here, and other important news related to elections, such as remote voting for domestic migrants. So pause the video and you can read one or two times, okay, for value addition. So this is the, and next is the simultaneous elections. Simultaneous elections like different simultaneous election like following center, state as well as state center elections, okay. And advantage or disadvantage for simultaneous elections, that is argument in favor and argument in against. Argument in favor such as the policy paralysis due to imposition of moral code of conduct over prolonged periods of time and huge expenditures by political parties, individual candidates, and engagement of security forces impacts their role in other security purposes and disruption of normal public life and impact of functioning of essential services. An argument against such as operational feasibility, curtailment and extension of terms of Lok Sabha or state legislative assemblies, amendment to provisions of constitution, and national and state issues are different. So remember this. And the next is the social democracy. What is this? And what was in news? Nordic model of social democracy is the combination of social welfare and economic systems adopted by Nordic countries. So this is the social democracy, which involve the social welfare and economic system. And features of social democracy such as reliance on representative and participatory democratic institutions and comprehensive social welfare scheme with emphasis on publicly provided social services and presence of strong labor market institutions. Okay, so remember this. And key reasons for thriving social democratic model in Nordic countries has been their relatively smaller and more homogeneous populations. However, the aging populations and immigration are posing recent challenges to Nordic model of social democracy. So remember this, okay? And next is the governance. Governance is the very crucial and very important part of general studies paper second. So you cannot ignore this topic because it is very crucial, and grab 70 to 80 marks in GS paper second. Okay, so first news is the censorship. What is censorship? It refers to the official prohibition or restriction of any type of expression such as films, books, television shows, etc. believed to threaten the political or social or moral order, and it may be imposed by a governmental authority, local or national, by a religious body, or occasionally by a powerful private group, and it represents denial of freedom of speech and of expression and of information, but is also considered rational based on factors ranging from political, that is sedition, treason, national security, and religious such as blasphemy, heresy, and moral such as obscenity, impiety, and to social such as incivility, irreverence, and disorder. So remember this. And framework governing censorship in India. What are the frameworks? Central Bureau of Film Certification operational under Cinematography Act 1952 regulates public exhibitions, and IT Rules 2023. You can remember this. And Cable Television Network Regulation Act. So here these are the acts you can remember. Okay. And what a need of censorship in India? Maintains sovereignty and security and guarantees personal liberty, limits the spread of fake news, and prevents religious and ethnic violence by controlling hate speech, which is politically sensitive, and protects children from exposure to psychological damaging matters, and increase social solidarity. So you can remember in terms of the block, the bold words, and you can write in answer in your own thoughts. Okay. And issues, what are the issues? Threat to democracy, deprives citizen of freedom, may lead to self-censorship, limits creative freedom, can promote an environment of intolerance and lead to suppression of marginalized voices, and implementation challenges like lack of objective boundaries, potential for misuse. So remember this. Okay. And way forward, such as encouraging self-regulation, granting citizens of the right to choose and consume content, promoting professional education, placing restrictions, adopting proactive or non-punitive steps. So, and next is the regulation of fake news. So you can remember what is fake news and why is this regulated by government as well as the non-state actors. And here the amendment rule 2021 given here, so you can read this. Okay. And what are the issues such as rise in number of fake news, rise in rate of communal violence, use of militants and anti-social organizations, so you can remember, and mulling the reputation of organization, affecting free and fair elections. So these are various issues related to the fake news. Okay. And challenges in countering fake news, such as information overload, high speed of information dissemination, and lack of media literacy, maintaining a balance with freedom of speech. Okay. And way forward, a coordination between various stakeholders, enacting a specific law and changing behavior of citizens, promoting idea of fact sala, and balancing fake news and freedom of speech. And Digital Services Act, you can remember what is the Digital Services Act and why it was passed, and benefits of Digital Services Act. Okay. So you can remember Digital Services Act, what is this? The first of kind regulatory toolbox globally and sets a benchmark for a regulatory approach to online intermediaries. So you can remember here that why Digital Services Act is in news and what is this Digital Services Act and the feature of Digital Services Act. Okay. And you need to know about the Digital Services Act in European Union with compared to the India's laws for digital content regulation. So you can remember easily. Okay. And you can conclude when it comes to the Digital Services Act. Okay. Next is the technology governance. Technology governance, that you can remind the, or you can define the technology governance, such as process of definition of technology governance, such as process of exercising political, economic, administrative authority in the development, diffusion and operation of technology in societies. So you can remember here. Okay. And these are the features of technology governance, you can remember. Okay. These are the features, so you can remember for your improving answer writing. Okay. And why need this technology governance framework, and what is efficiency of technology governance? For fostering innovation, promoting ethical use of technology, ensuring national security, shaping public policy. Okay. So you can remember this. And major governance framework for regulating technology, such as ethical governance frameworks, public and private sector collaboration, agile and responsive regulation, and experimental mechanisms like regulatory sandboxes and accelerators, and data sharing or interoperability framework, regulatory collaboration. So you can remember more points for effective framing of answer, and existing and emerging technologies governance gaps, such as lack of limited regulation, adverse effects of technology, these are all about. Okay, and you can write the potential blueprint for the technology governance, such as focusing regulations on outcomes, create a space of experiment, development of a pool of technocratic bureaucrats, and leverage the role of business. So here you can remember this. Okay, a regulation of online gaming, and here you can define the online gaming, because why was in news, the Ministry of Information and Electronics and Information Technology has amended the Information Technology Intermediate Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules 2021, and you can define this online gaming. Okay, and what are the key features of this online gaming? Rules on online gaming, that is clear definition, role of intermediaries, additional obligations on online gaming intermediary, and multiple SRBs, that is the self-regulatory bodies, and authority of self-regulatory bodies, and what are the prohibition method. Okay, and what are the concerns related to regulating online gaming activities, a game of skill versus game of chance, and obstacles to foreign investment, SRB discretion, and different state laws. And you can conclude this, that amended IT rules provide significant clarity to the online gaming ecosystem for effective regulation of online gaming. These rules need to be accompanied by clear definitions, multi-stakeholder engagement including state and union governments, and most importantly acknowledgement of the size and importance of this industry. Okay, and next is the internet shutdown. So you can define the internet shutdown, that internet shutdown include actions that restrict access to internet completely, or slow down speed, or restrict certain content. Okay, so remember this. And provisions related to internet shutdown, so here you can read one time, okay, very smartly. And rationale behind usage of internet shutdown, rationales such as maintaining peace, containing fake news, against terrorism, national security, and exams. An impact of this internet shutdown, economic impact, impact healthcare and privacy in education, and way forward for the internet shutdown. Certain apps or website could be banned, such as India banned 59 Chinese app for threat to the privacy in India, and defining terms like public emergency, efforts to improve digital media literacy should be expanded. Okay, and centralized database of all internet shutdowns. So remember this. And sports governance. What is imports governance? Why was in news? After the dissolution of committee administrators by Supreme Court, the Bureau of FIFA Council has lifted the suspension of All India Football Federation. So this is in news since 2021, when allegations charged by the FIFA World Cup FIFA Council on the All India Football Federation chief, okay, which was delaying appointing the All India Football Federation chiefs. Okay, so you can remember. And dissolution of COA, okay, Committee of Administrators. And here the sports governance and administration in India. So you can remember this process, institutional framework for sports governance in India. So you can remember this. And what are the issues in sports organizations and its impacts, such as the administrative issues, financial issues, cooperation and coordination issues. So various types of issues presently occurring in the Football Federation of India, or this sports governance. Okay, and initiatives of the government, say direct or indirect, financial assistance to sports federation such as tax benefits and sports facilities. National Sports Development Code of India 2011, also known as Sports Code. So these are the some initiatives by the government, and these are the sport code key requirements for National Sports Federation, such as office and accounts, sports person, representation, age and tenure limits. Okay, and legal status and recognition, internal requirements, and elections. So these are the front points. You have to remember this, and you need to remember this, and not all about, but some points you can remember. And what is the way forward? So you can direct measures for sports governance. Okay, such as framing well-defined sport legislation, professional sports governance and administration, and develop educational resources on governance and promote collaboration on optimized resources, and introduce and enforce accountability and transparency requirements about bottom-up approach. Okay, so remember this. And next is the local governance. Local governance very crucial in GS paper 2 than any other chapters. Okay, so you need to know about this for, for both prelims as well as means examination perspective. And under local governance, the democratic decentralization in India, uh, you need to know the decentralization, the free from decentralization means the local government or regional government free from the superior government system. Okay, and what is the democratic decentralization in India? It refers to the devolution of power, resources, and decision making authority from central government to local government under the scheduled 70 under the scheduled 11th and 12th of the constitution. And this democratic decentralization was introduced by 73rd for panchayat and 74th for municipal corporations. Okay, and what is the significance of democratic decentralization, such as empowerment of local communities, strengthening democracy, inclusive development, greater representation of marginalized sections, communities, and efficiency and effectiveness of public service delivery. Okay, and principle of subsidiarity. Remember this. Okay, when what are the challenges associated with the democratic decentralization? As Panchayat Raj institutions and urban local bodies lack control over key areas such as education, health, and policing, and economic inequalities and bureaucratic hurdles. So these are some challenges regarding the democratic decentralization, and steps taken by the government or steps taken to strengthen Panchayat Raj institutions, such as the Rashtriya Gram Swaraj Yojana और स्वराज अभियान, ई ग्राम स्वराज, पीपल प्लान कैंपेन, सबकी योजना सबका विकास, and National Institute for Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, and Swamitwa scheme for digitalization of the record of land areas and backward regions grants fund, and way forward strengthening financial devolution through higher allocation of funds from finance commissions, and funds form and functionaries could be related to the principles of subsidiarity, and empowering Panchayat Raj institutions through legislation, and empower women elected representatives in the Panchayat Raj institutions as well as municipal bodies, and given the women's right in the electoral democracy in the local as well as the municipal areas. So remember this. And Panchayat Section PESA Act 1996. So this is a very important part of the general study paper 3rd, general study paper 2nd for both prelims as well as mains, because this is related to the Scheduled Areas or Tribal Areas Act 1996. Article 243M exempts 5th scheduled areas from Part 9 of the Constitution. Okay, not under the judicial review method. Okay, and these are the powers of Gram Sabhas under PESA Act. So remember this. PESA Act. For Panchayati Raj there is 29 subjects, and for municipal for 18 subjects mentioned, so you can remember this. Okay, and what are the significance of PESA? Significance, you can mention these significance. Okay, and what are the provisions of PESA Act? This is the static topic, and you can easily remember from your notes as well as standard books. Okay, and what are the limitations of PESA Act? PESA rules. Four major tribal states, namely Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, MP, and Odisha, are yet to frame PESA rules. And use of unfair means for bypassing law, that violating the spirit behind PESA, that is safeguard tribal land and consent of Gram Sabha, that are not conducting with the Gram Sabha rules and with the community of the tribal local bodies. And Korba district of Chhattisgarh authorities decided to acquire land using Coal Bearing Act 1957 and poor implementation of laws. So this is the Gram Sabha, rights of Gram Sabha and its citizens. Okay, and what are the challenges in PESA implementation? These are challenges, so you can remember and read thoroughly. Okay, and way forward, awareness and publicity of for meetings of Gram Sabha and to be improved, and Panchayat finances should be decentralized towards creation of independent accounts for each Gram Sabha. An appropriate measure should be taken to ensure at least 1/3 participation of women and community ownership, such as centrally sponsored schemes by the central government as well as the state government, are urgent need to amend Indian Forest Act and like Land Acquisition Act and other related act like Forest Rights Act. And audit data standardization was in news, and present system of the audit is conducted by the Controller and Auditor General, that is CAG, and as per Constitution as well as by the duties. Power and Condition of Service Act 1971 is the function of the CAG under Article 148 of the Constitution, so you can remember this. And external audit as well as internal audit both are mentioned. Okay, and what are the issues with existing audit system? Lack of audit standardization, no powers to enforce audit findings, chaotic accounts of state companies, and CAG's Act is silent on issue when a public official spends money that is not legally available, and appointment of CAG undermines. Okay, and ways for data standardization and evidence based decision making. So here the ways for data standardization and evidence based decision making, these are the ways. Okay, so you can remember. And significance of standardization of data, you can read here. Okay, and next is the audit of local self-government. CAG is planning to expand its presence up to the district level to exercise audit control over 3-tier Panchayati Raj institutions. And we are understanding here that how and where the use of points from these 365 means magazines, which are not need to thoroughly read with the topics, because these magazines has more content than you can grab more information. Okay, so no need to grab more information from these magazines. Okay, so overall we are grabbing some points related to the current affairs. Okay, and importance, next is the importance of auditing of local self-government. These are the also static portion. And challenges, ways to ensure accountability, and what are the challenges in auditing local self-government, that is shortage of staff and lack of skill, as Panchayati Raj institutions draw money from separate fund accounts kept in bank or treasury which get audited by local auditor is difficult to audit, and lack of regular auditing by local audit authority and local bureaucracy strength is no low in maintaining data in audit format. So you can remember this. Okay, and ways to ensure accountability, such as CAG can prescribe accounting standards and accounts formats for local government accounts to ensure a degree of uniformity, and dedicated agency and report by CAG relating to audit of accounts of panchayats and municipalities should be placed before a committee of the state legislature. So you can remember this. Okay, the office of mayor. Mayor is appointing in municipal areas. Okay, so why was in news? Recently, Supreme Court said the Constitution does not allow nominated members of a municipality the right to vote for electing post of the mayor. It is a electing post, not a appointing post. Okay, Supreme Court ruled this and tells the government of state what is Indian system for mayor. So you can remember these informations that mayor in municipal corporation is usually chosen through the indirect election by councillors from among themselves, and councillors act by committee, and municipal corporation is chief executive officer. So you can remember these are the static portion of this, the local bodies as well as municipal corporations, and challenges with the mayor such as no real power, lack of clarity, no uniformity in tenure, lack of harmony between mayor and bureaucrats, and lack of political will. Okay, so these are the some challenges or limitations or issues related to the mayor and power and functions of the mayor, such as it serves as an ex officio member of all standing committees of the urban local bodies, and being the civic head of the municipality represents the city on ceremonial occasions, and presides over the meetings of the municipal corporation, and hears complaints from the general public and ventilates their grievances, and supervises and inspects the work of the municipality, and serves as the channel of communication between the municipal commissioner and state government. So remember this. And what are the merits and demerits for mayor elections in municipal corporations? So you can remember this. And what is the way forward? Second DRC recommendation which talks about mayor, or what is the limitations and what are the challenges and what is the main measures for conducting free and fair election or nomination of the, not nomination but indirectly elected by the councillors. Okay, mayor is indirectly elected by the councillors. So you can remember, and you can give example from Kolkata model for reforming in the elections of the mayor. And these are the snapshot of urban local bodies. Okay, next is the aspirational block program. It is in news, and it is created during the budget. It was in news during the budget release in 2022-23. Okay, so Prime Minister launched the government's aspirational block program as per the recommendation of the financial committee. Okay, which is aimed at the improving performance of block lagging on various development parameters, and aspirational block program which awaits the aspirational district program. These are two coextensive schemes which are creating by the Prime Minister in budget 2022-23. Okay, and what are the features of aspirational block program? That is coverage, what is the aim, key indicators, periodic ranking, and focus of performance. So you can read here, okay, and focus on block development such as inclusive development, locally adaptable planning, grassroots participation, and convergence and achievement of targets. So these are the overview related to program of aspirational block program. Okay, and 3D approach of the aspirational district program, such as convergence, collaboration, competition. So you can remember this. Okay. Next is the government policies and interventions for development in various sectors, like Aadhaar. So you can define the Aadhaar. Aadhaar is a 12-digit individual identification number issued by the UIDAI, that is Unique Identification Authority of India, on behalf of the Government of India. The number serves as a proof of identity and address anywhere in India. Each individual will be given a single unique ID, Aadhaar number, and Aadhaar is important because it was uh, come in UPSC IS exam prelims examination. Okay, in I think 2020 or 2019. Okay, so remember this. And what are the significance of Aadhaar system that provides single source offline or online identity verification across the country for residents, and streamlined subsidy transfer, financial inclusion, eliminating host beneficiaries due to use of biometrics in public distribution system distribution. Okay, and access to multiple government welfare schemes promotes neutrality. So you can remember, and these are the initiative taken to strengthen the Aadhaar system, such as roadmap drawn for Aadhaar 2.2, which focus on resident centricity, enhancing use of Aadhaar, further strengthening people's trust on Aadhaar technology upgradation. Okay, and facial image as additional biometric attribute for deduplication along with the fingerprints and two iris. And UIDAI introduced two-factor authentication using AI or machine learning technology, and find out deviant behavior among operators, and quality check of all new adult enrollments. So these are some initiatives taken for the robustly Aadhaar system. Okay, and issues associated with the Aadhaar, that is faulty database, not prescribed any specific group, document or process, and authentication errors, lacks standard security elements, and data leaks and privacy concerns, and not stable over lifespan. So remember this. Okay, and way forward, the UIDAI should prescribe a procedure and require documentation to confirm and authenticate the residence status of applications or applicants. Okay, strengthening grievance system and strengthening digital network, the correct Aadhaar linking, a need to invest in households' digital literacy and skills to use digital tools to maximize Aadhaar usage. So you can remember easily with Aadhaar ID as well as its benefits and issues and challenges therein. Okay, and democracy for social and economic welfare. What is democracy? Earlier I have told this. And justice, social, economic, and political is a universal principle also placed to the citizen of India by the Constitution. So given here in the Constitution. And what are the framework to bring socio-economic justice? So these are the frameworks that can bring the socio-economic justice for all. Election system, laws and policies, use of science and technology, and importance of ideas for this framework, protects people's rights enshrined in the Constitution, formation of a representative government, a rule of law with welfare state, separation of power and an independent judiciary, and puts moral obligation on the state, and strikes a balance between individualism and socialism. Okay, and what are the concerns related to the implementation of this? The social and economic welfare for the justice, for the governance, okay, democracy, concerns that is opaque functioning of political parties and issues of corruption, lack of transparency, problems of social polarization, misuse of technology and violence, a limited success in achieving social and economic welfare, and creates ground for constitutional conflict, cultural and religious tensions, and emergence of new challenges. And what is the way forward? For justice of the democracy, enhance democratic resilience, step for social economic welfare, democratic resilience such as transparency and integrity, ensure inclusive transition, citizen engagement, government accountable, with steps for social and economic inclusion. Okay, and these are the steps for social and economic welfare such as detailed quantitative assessment and support livelihood, reform judicial system, infrastructure building, etc., and role of private sector, media, and civil society for strengthening democracy of the socio-economic policies and cooperatives. Next is the cooperative. Cooperatives is also a very important news. What is the cooperative? It is a voluntary association of individuals having common needs who join hands with for attainment of common economic goals and interest. Okay, so these are the cooperatives and cooperative definition and cooperative principles. What are the principles of cooperatives? Such as autonomy and independence, voluntary and open membership, concern for community, cooperation among cooperative, and education, training and information, and democratic member control, members economic participation. Okay, so remember this. And types of cooperative working in India, such as consumers cooperative society, producers cooperative society, cooperative credit society, cooperative farming society, and housing cooperative society, and marketing cooperative society. These are the types of cooperative working in India. Okay, and constitution, these are given here. The state list of 7th schedule, and in fundamental right it is given in the 19 clause 1 sub clause C. Freedom to form association or union or cooperative societies, and article 43b of the directive principles of state policy. State shall endeavor to promote voluntary formation, autonomous functioning, democratic control, and professional management of cooperative societies. And part 9b of the constitution, where I mention the term cooperatives. Okay, and this is the significance of cooperatives, that is enhancing social cohesion, social empowerment, promoting moral principles, reducing inequality of wealth, promoting financial inclusion. So remember this. And steps taken to promote the cooperative culture, such as new Ministry of Cooperation was introduced or created, or multi-state cooperative societies amendment bill 2022 was introduced, amend multi-state cooperative society act 2002 to enhance transparency, accountability, improve ease of doing business, and promote better financial discipline. Okay, so remember this. And what are the challenges associated with the cooperatives, such as lack of democratic spirit, regional imbalance in growth, operational challenges, and functional weaknesses. And way forward, structural reforms, weaker and inefficient societies should be winded and merged, and promoting multi-purpose societies and legislative reforms ensure efficiency and transparency. Okay, and capacity building, imparting value-based education. So remember this. And next is the multi-state cooperative societies amendment bill. What is the feature of this? These are the significance. Okay, election of board members, board of director, amalgamation of cooperative societies, and fund for sick cooperative societies. So these are the some significance points related to multi-state cooperative bill 2022. So these are need of multi-state cooperative society bill. So since 2002, cooperatives have undergone significant changes. 97th Constitutional Amendment Act 2011 necessitated amendments to Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act due to insertion of Part 9b and address instances of malfunctioning noted in multi-state cooperative societies, such as financial impairment, uh, delay and disputes regarding one second, and issues with the multi-state cooperative societies bill 2022. Okay, so these are the concentration of power of central government, which may impact the autonomy and functioning of multi-state cooperative societies and create potential for misuse, and granting veto powers to the central and state governments, and imposes financial burden on successful cooperatives. So these are the some issues related to the multi-state cooperative society. You can remember this. And way forward. Uh, okay, and what is the way forward to that? A high-powered committee on cooperatives had recommended that central government should create a national cooperative rehabilitation and institutional protection funds. So these are the some reforms in the multi-state cooperative societies. Okay, so here I will end the lecture, and the polity section of means 365 have been completed. Okay, and next will be the social issues, which you can subscribe my channel and update the means 365, that how to read and how to effective right answer in the general studies paper second. Okay, so thank you for watching. Have a great day.